Hello and welcome. This is Tip TV Finance CEO interview with me, Jenny Hammond and Zach Meir. And joining us in the studio today is Antoin Commane. He's the founder of Kleek. So Anton, this is a concierge app. So how did you get started in this sort of luxury app business?
Well, I've actually been an entrepreneur all my life. And so I actually left school at 16 and set up a web hosting company. And that did pretty well, and we ended up selling that. And then I ended up going into nightlife events. We had a company that was doing lots of promotions around town with all the big clubs and exclusive places. And that eventually evolved into us having like a share in a Mayfair restaurant and setting up clubs. And what I found is that, especially with exclusive clubs, is that there is no technology used in these places. So compared to other industries, like the restaurant industry, booking a flight, a hotel, all of these industries have been positively influenced by technology. And nightlife really has no technology. It's really an archaic system. And so if you go to an exclusive club, they've got a pen and paper guest list. All the pricing and so forth is really manually done. And I saw a gap in the market really for bringing technology into the operations and really.
Isn't that because they want to keep it exclusive. They don't want anybody coming in via the internet or an app and getting into their club. I mean, these things are very hush hush and
Yes, to a certain degree, but still managing inventory and managing pricing and being able to, instead of it just being a one minimum spend for a table. Where, especially in the last 10 years, well, what's happened with clubs? A lot of the clubs, the dance floors have become smaller and smaller, and more tables have been put in these places to actually maximise the minimum spends. But the minimum spends, it really depends on who you are. If you arrive on the door and it's really busy, they'll quote you different prices, and so it's not really transparent. Especially if you go to somewhere like Vegas or Ibiza. The different pricing is you get quoted different prices, and what we wanted to bring in is a transparent way for you actually to see real-time pricing and be able to book, split the bill with your friends, and so forth. And really, instead of having to know somebody or actually call up a venue, Kleek allows you to have a better night out by having complete transparency. And when you being able to see all the most exclusive clubs, let's say you want to go out tonight, or you arrive in a new city like Paris or Ibiza, you don't necessarily know where to go. And with Kleek, it shows you all the venues and events. You can instantly book, and it's all transparent.
So anybody can use this app. So Zach could go to the top clubs.
I don't think they want me in these kind of places. It's more your scene, I think,
Zach,
really.
That's not true.
Well, but also the industry is becoming a bit more democratized, where it has been traditionally, who you know and so forth. But really, it's down to how a lot of these places. It's down to how much money you spend. So it's not necessarily about who you are going
Who
forward,
you know,
or who you know. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see that put to the test with myself. But it's still. It seems to be the main benefit is actually for the clubs themselves, where they can maximise their intake every day. I mean, as much as, let's say, the would-be customers.
Correct. So if you look at the airline industry, for example, they worked this out years and years ago. How to sell plane tickets for different prices, and obviously depending on how busy the flight is and at different times that you book, and depending on who you are, on the membership tier and so forth. And so what we're doing for venues is really allowing them to maximise their revenue by being able to give their regulars special deals and actually and be able to price tables and tickets and entry fees at different points, so that they can maximise their revenue.
There are lots of app startups out there. How long has Kleek been going, and how's it getting on?
So we've been going about 18 months, and we originally raised money through the SEIS scheme, which we'll talk about in a second. And we've been running a beta in Ibiza and London, which has been going very well. We've got all the top venues signed up, and really our next phase now is to launch it and really take it to the US and the UAE. And all these nightlife cities. Because really the thing is, when you travel, when you go to a new city, you don't know necessarily where to go. You might know in London where your favourite bar or club is to go to. But if you go to a new place, you don't necessarily know that. And with Kleek, it's a profile that travels with you. So you have this, so depending on where you go, your average spend, your total spend, your profile travels with you.
So it's like a hedonist guide.
Yeah, a little bit, but like a passport, I suppose, when you go to new places.
Okay, and what's the advantages for investors investing in this kind of startup?
So a lot of investors, they traditionally go for big companies that are quite safe. Now with a startup business,
95% of apparently fail, so
exactly. So things obviously startup businesses are very risky, but the government has a scheme called the Enterprise Investment Scheme, which allows 30% tax relief for UK taxpayers. So in other words, that your personal income tax you can offset against your investment. And there's also some other benefits, such as there's no inheritance tax, there's no capital gains. So when you sell your shares, and also there's also a range of benefits for when you, if the investment fails, you actually can offset further against your personal income tax. I'm not a tax expert, but essentially what it's allowed me to do is go to investors and say, the thing is, you can offset your personal income tax, and if the worst thing happens, you actually can offset even more against your UK tax.
Okay.
I think it does. I mean, the tax side is actually, I mean, I was discussing with you before we came on, but the EIS and all those schemes, people really, because it is rocket science in some ways, understanding the tax system, but it is actually one of the best things around for investing in startups.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's, I suppose, I suppose small startups are risky, but the upside is that your returns can be so much higher than a traditional, blue chip company. Where with a startup, you could be earning 2 times, 10 times, 100 times your return if you get in early, because obviously you're creating an industry from scratch. And really with Kleek, the nightlife industry is a huge booming business internationally. We have some competitors in the US, but there isn't really anything in Europe, and that's the opportunity really, where there's so much nightlife going on, across the country, and especially these places like Ibiza. I don't know if you guys have been out there. But
That goes there frequently.
Well, no, you're the person to do that. But no, I've heard from people that it is very trendy and everything else like that, and the beautiful people turn up there and everything else. But as far as how much upside there is and how long it'll take, what's your view of your company over the next 2 to 3 years?
So I see the industry becoming, with technology being introduced, I see it becoming way more efficient. And I suppose nightlife traditionally does have a kind of negative connotation to it, where it's becoming way more professional, especially in London and Vegas and New York and so forth. I suppose the real benefit is the efficiency that will bring it.
Yeah, but how do you earn money? And how do you?
All right, so
that might be a key
so
issue.
this is the real key thing with Kleek, is that we actually earn money on every single reservation. So let's say a VIP table is £1,000. We're typically making 20%. And because we're a payment app, we retain our commission and then send the rest of the money onto the venue.
So you're hanging around waiting for somebody to get the invoice.
Exactly. So actually chasing invoices traditionally in the nightlife industry is a real headache, because a lot of these hot clubs might only be around for 3 years, and they switch hands and so forth. So really with Kleek, when you make your reservation for £1,000, you split the bill with your friends. We actually take the money through the app. We retain our commission, and then we send the rest of the money onto the venue. And then you arrive at the venue, you have this full VIP experience. There's no queuing. You walk straight in. Your bottles are already booked through the app. So you go to your table and you have this fantastic night.
And how do venues get on your app? Are you very selective, or?
We are pretty selective, yeah. So I mean, the most important thing to a club is making money, essentially, and also how good the crowd is. So we've been very selective as to keeping really the top tier places in Mayfair and Chelsea, but we will be branching out to more bars and red carpet events. So stuff like that. We even have things like the BAFTAs, the Brit Awards, Victoria's Secrets,
You can get tickets for the Victoria's Secret show?
we can, yes, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we might be interested in that.
and London Fashion Week and so forth. But the thing is, those are more perks for our top tier users. So we also have this access tier. So basically, there are different membership tiers that you can, depending on your usage and how many friends you refer to it and how often you use the service, we give out perks.
And how are people using it? Is it popular?
Yeah, we're actually doing bookings every day, and these are big ticket bookings. These are £2,000 bookings every day. We're not really doing any marketing yet. So we're currently doing a raise to really take it to the next level. And up to now, it's been developing the technology. It's signing up all the venues, and it's really ready to take the next step.
Super, Anton. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Antoin Commane, founder of Kleek.